The Business of Cleaning, the podcast that brings cleaning industry expertise straight to your ears. We interview professionals from all over to bring our listeners knowledge of how to achieve success within their business. Season 1 is about change management and enabling you to both face and create change in all aspects of your company. We're talking management, HR, suppliers, and more. Let's sweep right into the episode. All right, hello, my name is Haley Morris. I am the podcast coordinator and host for the Business of Cleaning. And with me today, I have Trent Peterson. Trent is the sales team lead for Janitorial Manager. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So, like Haley said, I am the team lead of inside sales here at Janitorial Manager. For those of you that don't know what Janitorial Manager is, we're a software company described as a work management system to really help any sort of cleaning operations operate on a more streamlined basis. We really sell ourselves as that all-in-one program. So anywhere from your inspections to your time and attendance, all the way up to work loading and bidding. So I've been here about going on 3 years now. When I'm not doing demonstrations, I'm working with the team, trying to improve our processes and help our customers. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. So today we're going to be actually talking about changing your internal processes and your documentation. Of course, because we have somebody with experience in a system that does just that.
Mm-hmm.
And so with Janitorial Manager and with the cleaning industry in general, we're seeing huge shifts today, of course, because of COVID. And with those shifts comes this need to actually get a little bit more with the times more quickly. I think I told somebody the other day that, a lot of the stuff, the changes that we're seeing to businesses are coming because they were already coming. Like there's already these advances in technology. People are getting on board. People who aren't getting on board are already starting to slip behind. And I think COVID in 2020 as a whole, because there's been a million things in 2020.
Yeah.
Just fast forwarded that. It said, this isn't going to take 10 years. This is going to take a month. And so now everybody's kind of forced to jump on the trend. So I guess for you, what were you seeing leading up to this point as far as like businesses that come into you or other businesses in the cleaning industry? What were you seeing them do as far as internal processes in the past?
Yeah, so a lot of people were actually, and as many of you probably know, software is a little bit newer to the janitorial industry. So a lot of people were still doing paper timesheets, paper scheduling, maybe using Excel as their software program, and that's just not doable nowadays, especially with all the different type of documentation and reports that are required for cleaning businesses. You just can't use Excel and pen and paper anymore.
They're kind of going off that. Somebody's tracking something in Excel. How many customers do like your clients often have that they're trying to manage in an Excel book?
Sure. I mean, the most I've seen is 300 locations being managed in Excel. Now, obviously, we have customers that are beneath 300 locations and above that. But props to that customer that was able to manage their book of business in Excel. Our the typical customer, though, I mean, we have some startups that have under 15 locations, and then you get up to 50, 75 locations, and then that's where you need a full-time employee just to manage that Excel sheet.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, I can't imagine somebody trying to do that and a different job at the same time.
Right.
It's a full-time job just to keep track of what's going on.
Yeah.
So, all right, but it's shifting, right? So what are we starting to see? What are those shifts that are happening to those processes?
Yeah, so especially with COVID going on right now, and a lot of people clean schools, or for the schools that do all their cleaning in-house, there's a lot of requirements. So you have to document that when was the last time this facility was cleaned? Are you performing those routine inspections to make sure that you're providing the best value to your customer? So that's what we're getting a lot of requests of right now, are people that are wanting to document their processes, make sure that their customers are being serviced to the highest of standards, and then making sure that follow-up is always in there as well.
Yeah, so it's sounds like a lot. I'm really glad I don't have to document and track all of that.
Yep.
But so okay, what are some of the manual task that go into managing and tracking all of that. What do you think it takes to do that with 50 plus locations or even 15 locations?
Yeah.
Just to make sure that you're getting paid at the end of the day and your employees are doing what you hired them for.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest one right there, is making sure that people are getting paid and that you're getting paid. So we run into it all the time. You're a cleaning company and you have your employees that are just writing down their time. You'll have a piece of paper at your locations, you write it down, hey, I showed up here or at this time, and then when they're done with their shifts, they'll write it down as well. Well, at the end of that payroll period, guess who has to add up all of those different times? And that's, if you have 15 employees, 50 employees, you're not going to want to add up all those times all the time. So a lot of people are now looking to say, hey, can I automate that feature? And so with softwares like Janitorial Manager, you have the ability to track that time automatically. So it does the thinking for you, making sure that your employees are there, but then also saving you time on adding up how many hours each employee needs to get paid for.
Yeah, and I think that's what outside the cleaning industry businesses were doing for a while. I mean, some of different stages. I know we're going to be transitioning our own time clock internally here shortly, but it's crazy to think like you have that all tracked on pen and paper, and there's going to be some faults to that. What are some crazy stories maybe you've heard about?
Yeah. Well, when you buy a timekeeping system, you also want to make sure that you ensure that your employees can't steal time from you. So nobody is making sure that you're writing down the right time. So you might have to be at a location to clean at 9 p.m. and then it might take 2 hours and you leave at 11. Well, if you're an employee, you could say, I showed up here at 8:30, but I left at 11. So instead of getting paid for a 2-hour job, you're stealing that time and tacking on an extra 30 minutes. So that's very common. So we have a lot of people that are wanting to make sure that you're getting the accurate time and that their employees cannot steal from them.
Yeah, and I know that some of the time tracking's even going a little bit further, right? Yeah, some of the features now. That's crazy though, to think that we're still having to catch up in that regard.
Yeah.
You know, how long have people been clocking into work though? I think I remember like the shows you watch and they go in and they have a little paper that they do. So now I think you can do it straight from your phone, right?
Yeah, exactly. Phone, tablet, anything.
No, that's awesome. What other things? I mean, I can only imagine if you're working in the cleaning industry and you've got these locations that they're going to be different as far as what you have to get done at those locations as well. So how do people track that? How have people been tracking what needs done? The specifics.
So from the beginning, I feel like people have handwritten cleaning instructions, or I see it even to this day. You have a big binder, you got to print off all the cleaning instructions, all your alarm codes and all of that, and you give it to your employees. So a lot of people are still using paper and pencil when there's programs out there that allow you to have your cleaning instructions right on your phone, or a cleaning checklist right on your phone or on your tablet. So to answer your question, a lot of people were and still are doing things on paper pencil.
Wow.
Yeah.
That seems like a lot of stress to put on your employee too, to keep track of all the sheets of paper and make sure they don't drop them in a puddle or whatever else you're doing that day. So, and then have you, I had a discussion that'll actually pop up in our episode 3 of this podcast as people listen, but that a lot of companies are like creating the sanitation team now too.
Yes.
So that's a whole nother level, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Yeah. So now people are, so they're looking and they're hiring, or just new people are getting into the industry and they're focusing on sanitation. And they want to, they find that this industry is a good industry to get into right now, especially with COVID going on. But with that, you need to make sure that you have the right processes in place. So whether you're cleaning an office building or a home or a university, or you're doing disinfecting, you still have to keep track of your schedules. You still have to make sure your employees are where they're supposed to be. and then that your employees know exactly step by step what they need to do.
No, it's good to see that we have more people moving towards that. Obviously, with the pandemic on our shoulders still, I'm sure we're handling this a lot better than we did the last pandemic 100 years ago. I might actually insert too. I was laughing. I was reading something the other day, and they said epidemic, and I was like, "Don't you mean pandemic?" Oh wait, not everything is this extreme.
Yep.
So, no, it's kind of crazy, but it's also good to see that there's so much more attention to it, and there's recognition now for the employees as well.
Yeah. Because everybody, but before this, didn't always show the most respect to janitors, but now people are realizing those janitors are those frontline workers. So if you're a business and you're still going into the office, you better be thanking the janitor that's coming in to do that cleaning. So I'm really glad that the people in this industry are finally starting to get recognized.
Well, I think it's crazy that we don't. I know the one company I worked at, we had a couple people that were my favorite people in the entire building. One of them, she was our security guard, and she also attended the front desk. So she just kept track of everybody coming. She got a little more attention. Everybody loved her because everybody saw and interacted with her. But there was also a cleaner for the hallway that was shared between the 3 businesses right there. That was always out every time I left my shift. And she was one of my favorite people to interact with. Just the happiest woman, and she was always so diligent. And I think she was probably the most overlooked person in the entire building. And that's so sad because I was like I said, I always made sure to make sure she was good, and I didn't walk on her clean floors when I was hopping between the reps because I was like, man, you're working hard, and I'm trying not to make your life difficult right now.
And you always hear people say, treat the janitor like you would treat the CEO, but for some people it's easier said than done. But now I really think that people are doing just that, treating the janitor just like you would treat the CEO of any business.
No, and I hope it continues, that we don't, that this is one of those positive trends that we're seeing established and not just briefly. So, but all right, so there's so many processes, so many internal things. But what about the long-term documentation of things? How's that typically work? I mean, if you're running an Excel sheet, you're running a paper and pencil. In the past, how did people filing cabinets?
Well, long term, so you always want to document your goals as well, right? So a lot of people, if you're not using software, sure, you might write down your goal on a piece of paper. You're going to lose that piece of paper. And same with budgets and keeping up with budgets. So there's actually a lot of people that I run into that are not properly tracking their budgets, saying, okay, what did I do this last quarter? What did I do this last year? Was I at my budget? Did I spend more on supplies the year 2019? People don't know that. So that's another request that we have. They want to make sure that they can keep track of the day-to-day reports. But also they want to look back and see all their successes and their failures that they had, and then seeing where they're going and if they're trending forward or not.
Because then you can actually see what's working.
Exactly.
What worked when this happened, what worked when this happened. I mean, some people probably, maybe they had an instance where all their business seemed to drop off at once. What did they do? So no, that's a good point. So I guess kind of piggybacking off that, obviously it seems like the answer is obvious, but let's jump into why exactly a janitorial company should choose software or is currently in the process of moving towards a software-based system.
So other than the obvious reasons of you want to stay more organized, I actually just had a meeting in on Tuesday, and we met with a company, and they built up. It was a big company, had about 70 employees. They had about 5 other people in management, but they were just not organized. They had things in so many different programs instead of just one main one, and it was still to the point where only the owner, the CEO of the business, was the only one generating revenue. He had to go out and do all the sales. So if you want to grow, then you're going to need a software program, maybe a bidding calculator, for example, where it's all streamlined. You generate your own templates for things, so that way anybody in your company can just plug in all the information and they can get those bids. So this person that I met on Tuesday, they think now that they can start spitting out 40, 50 bids a day instead of 2 or 3 a week, because now they can have more and more people submit the bids. So staying organized, growing your business, holding each other accountable, those are probably the 3 main things that people need to look for when they want to upgrade from paper pencil to software.
Okay, yeah, no, and then I guess too as well with this upgrade, obviously some people are worried about software taking over the human aspect of their business, as in it's going to be that what is that? I robot or whatever. Where but there's that whole fear that it's going to take over. What would you say to that?
I haven't had that experience where where a customer, sure, they might have that concern a little bit, but they're just not, once they get using the software program, you want to make sure that you find the software program that actually has that human element to it. So find one that's customizable. You can add your own taste to it, if you will, but at the end of the day, people like those face-to-face interactions. So more than just software, you still got to go out there and meet with your customers, call them, put a face to the name, but let software help you out on a lot of the back-end things where it doesn't really need much human interaction, like making a payroll report or doing an inspection. There's not much human interaction that you need in that.
Yeah, and I was talking to somebody the other day, so I'll add to that and say too that those activities that it's actually doing are what's detracting from your human aspect. You're spending all your time crunching numbers and tracking paper trails. You don't get to spend as much time with your people or your customers or outside of the office even. I mean, people are probably spending more time in the office than they accounted for. Their whole life might be the company now. Whereas you could have your home life too, and you could have a good balance, and then you could have a good team atmosphere where you're able to kind of go the extra step. You've increased your revenue, you've decreased now the amount of time you spend on things that feel a little meaningless but make the company chug.
Right,
So,
exactly, I agree.
It's that virtual assistant,
Yep.
the one that doesn't talk back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no. All right, well, there's obviously probably more and more software systems popping up too. We've got JM, we've probably got a couple others I'm sure you've seen.
Yeah.
What are features that people are looking for? You mentioned the bidding calculator.
Yeah.
And we've got time trackers and stuff, but what exactly are people looking for, or what should they be looking for?
So I'll answer the last question first. What they should be looking for is something that is going to take the thinking out of their jobs. So again, in this call I had on Tuesday, I'm glad that this person, they really realize that they're not going to have to think about how much they have to charge their customer or how much their employees are going to get paid. You want to find a software that does the thinking for you and it's very seamless. But also you want to make sure that the software program, they offer adequate amount of training and support. So, I mean, it took me all of high school and middle school to learn the Microsoft products, PowerPoint, Word. You're not going to be able to learn a new software program just like that. So you want support and account management on that side of things. In terms of the features that we keep on getting requests for, it's a lot of just the all-in-one aspect. So a lot of people out there right now might have just an inspections program or just a time tracking program or just a bidding calculator. A lot of people are looking now for that all-in-one solution, so that way you have one software program for all of your needs. But now, even more so with COVID-19, they need that documentation. Actually, a cool feature that's releasing here next week from today is an ability to print off QR codes. So you can actually print a QR code outside of any room in a building. The customer can scan that QR code and see the last time that place was cleaned. Request work orders, request supplies, and that's huge because for me to come back to the office, I wanted to make sure, like, hey, is our cleaning staff still coming here? And I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels that way.
So, no, that's a very interesting thing. I didn't realize we were going to be releasing that feature.
Yeah, and sort of like what you were talking about in the beginning of the call is that We were always getting better with technology, slowly but surely, but COVID-19 fast-tracked that. So our development team, QR codes was always on our radar. It's something that we knew we wanted to get to eventually. But then this was the perfect time, if there really can be, with COVID-19. But we decided to fast track this. So yeah, QR codes is going to be a hot hit, and we've had a lot of requests for it. So.
No, I think that's super exciting too,
Mm-hmm.
because we talk about enhancing communication with the customer all the time, especially right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes it so seamless, and like you don't have to directly communicate with the customer. Customer can seek information on their own.
Yeah.
And be comforted that it's literally like they put it right on their phone.
Yep.
So, I guess too, with a company that's listening to this or watching this right now, and they've gone through, they've listened to what we've talked about,
Mm-hmm.
what people have done,
Mm-hmm.
what people are doing, why we're choosing software, and these features that they should be looking for. How does a company actually, they've said, okay, we want this software. How do they go about implementing it? Do they just go all in, or I heard JM was customizable, so.
Yeah, so in terms of implementing a software, you can go all in, depending on the size of your operation. But a lot of our customers might want to implement different pieces of the program. So I know time and attendance is something that you want to get right. You don't want to mess with your employees' pay. You want to make sure that you're being fair and paying your employees the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So some of our customers will say, hey, can you help us implement this time and attendance aspect first? And then you help us with that, and then after that, we'll start working on the inspections and then the inventory control. But again, that sort of goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that whenever you're looking for a software program, you want to find a company that's going to help you implement that. For example, our account managers, we have a wide range of customers, and so we've seen pretty much every type of operation that's out there. Mm-hmm. So as we meet with you, we know exactly, and really the best approach to launching the program.
That's great. To kind of back up that idea that you've seen all kinds of people, where are your customers from?
All over. So a lot of our customers are based out of the U.S. and Canada, but we actually have some customers over in Ireland, Egypt, some other cool places that I'd love to visit one day.
Right.
But yeah, I'd say the majority of our customers are based here in the U.S. and then Canada as well.
That's awesome. It sounds like it's all growing too.
It is.
One feature that you mentioned, though, that I don't think we touched on is the inventory side of things.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about why somebody would want software for their inventory.
Yeah, so inventory can be, if you're not tracking it correctly, it can cost you guys some money. And you wanna set budgets. So if you're the one that's buying the cleaning supplies, you probably want to set a budget for each building and say, hey, I want to spend at most $250 a month at this location. With the help of software, you can track that and see, okay, hey, I spent $70 in week 1 of this month on inventory, and then the next week I spent $140. So you might want to look at that and figure out, hey, what's going on? Why did I have that big jump? Mm-hmm. And then also staying organized. So I know a lot of our customers have their employees call them, text them, leave them a note at the location. Through our software, you can submit a supply request directly from the mobile app. So tracking inventory will, one, help you save money, stay organized, so that way you don't have 5 different ways of communication. And yeah, again, you can really just streamline a lot of your operations, and inventory is a huge one.
Yeah, no, that's cool, and that's maybe a side that I guess people are starting to think more about.
Yeah.
A lot because of like the PPE and stuff like that.
Yep.
But also, it's just been an existing issue within the industry.
Yeah.
Where do the supplies go? Why are we getting so much of something?
Yeah, and then also tracking the usage. So if you're cleaning a location and you see 1 week, there's just a huge spike of usage of supplies. Maybe on day 1 of the month you have 30 rolls of toilet paper, and then on day 5 you're down to 3 rolls of toilet paper. It sucks to say, but we've heard a lot of horror stories where employees are stealing those supplies, and so they look for an inventory to track the usage and the consumption. So find the right program that can track those trends and see when you hit that spike of supply usage.
Yeah, well, I worked in a call center. We were HR in a call center before, and we had a similar problem where we cleaned everything. As HR, we went through and cleaned everything, because what we were doing is setting a new expectation for how clean it was and how often people actually were meant to clean their own booths. And so we set up a little cleaning station that had like the typical Clorox wipes and keyboard sprays and different things like that. And day 1 of the keyboard sprays disappeared.
Jeez.
And so we said, oh, well, it was used already. But we had maybe 10 people in the office, and we had about 5 of them out. And then there was like all the time where Clorox wipes whole containers would disappear really quickly. And so then we were able to say, okay, we have a storage cabinet. We're going to be the ones pulling things out because we want to track. And then we could go to that supervisor and make sure they were cracking down. And I think in the end, we kind of narrow it down to some employees so they'd feel a little bit more attention. But it was a little hard to do because we were just eyeballing it, and that was a small call center. So it would be beneficial to have a system that you actually have everything coming through, and then you get to your year end and you can see the overview of what actually happened and project. For at this point, if you've got a new software system, hopefully your increased revenue. So you got more business coming in for 2021, which is going to be a better year.
Yes.
It's going to be a way better year. You got more business coming in, and you actually have to project for increased need now. A big reason why we developed an inventory management system is because we hear customers. I had one guy who bought 500 microfiber towels or cloths for the year, and at the end of the year somehow he had under 300. And you're not just throwing them away, you can wash them. So he knew that people were stealing his supplies and using them or taking them home or what have you. Yeah, I think some of us get left behind. Probably doesn't have. But it goes back to the accountability thing too, doesn't it? How do you stay accountable? Because people make human errors, and sometimes it's not, oh, we're stealing. Sometimes it's just, I forgot to go grab that towel or those 3-5 towels over the weekend. That's lost supplies, which don't seem like a big deal that day, but at the end of the year, when you've done it 20 times and you have all these employees doing it 20 times throughout the year, it's a lot.
It adds up.
So, all right. So we've talked about a lot. We've covered a lot. I think we've kind of wrapped into almost 30 minutes now, so it's a good time to close up. Is there anything else that you would like to touch in regards to internal processes and documentation that's beneficial? Sure.
Yeah. So again, I just want to reiterate, when you guys are looking for your programs, look at the support of the product, look at the team around it that's going to help you implement it, and make sure that it's all user friendly. But documentation is huge. You can hold people accountable. It's going to help you grow your business. And I think software is just going to keep on getting better and better. And it can replace, not replace employees, but sort of add on to your team without having to pay a salary.
Well, too, you're probably giving your employees a break, or maybe saving you from having to make hires or cut hours when you're tight on budgets and things like that. That now your employees can be a little more efficient. You can be a little more efficient in your interactions. So. No, I think that's great. And thank you, Trent, for coming on today.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We are going to, of course, have a blog post corresponding to the content that we've covered today, and we can link any content that Trent would like to share with you there, as well as all the information we've covered. Awesome. So thank you for tuning in to the Business of Cleaning podcast, and we will see you for the next episode.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.